Welcome to A Director's Take, the podcast that delves into the world of digital video communications, where video now generates more online traffic than any other media. Today, we're going to discuss the power of authentic online profiles. That's right, how to be authentic online. Careers have really crashed and burned when word got out that a screen persona is inconsistent with the actual person. This suggests that authenticity now is the key to building meaningful communications in the online world. So we want your profile to match that. So what does it take to be authentic on camera? Join me as we review the 4 benefits of being authentic online, and I'll give you 4 tips on top of it to ensure your authentic self shows up on camera. Let's get started. We can't talk about the power of authentic online profiles without giving you some kind of a story to understand how this all works. So I'm going to share the story of Sarah. Now, I met her in an online group of entrepreneurs. She certainly was young, eager to embark on a personal journey to embrace her true self online. That got me a little scared. I heard the raw words coming out of her mouth, and I was a little bit concerned that maybe she might take this overboard. So I watched her, and I started to see a disconnect between what she was saying and what she was doing. In other words, what she said did not match who she was or what she did. Authenticity means it does match up. There has to be integrity between what we say and what we do. Well, Sarah, she was compelled to present her perfect image, thinking that's her true self. She carefully curated all her images. She concealed any struggles and vulnerabilities she had. I mean, all you saw was the cream out of her life, the cream off the top. The top 1% of the success factor that she was seeing. And she just didn't seem human. It wasn't real because it was missing all the struggles all of us go through. It was missing the humanization of who she really was. Now, Sarah ended up presenting, because she got so good at it, she presented a characterization of herself. She became a character, kind of like becoming a clown or a cartoon of yourself. I thought, something's got to be done. I tried to hold back, but I had to share with her my disappointment. Now, keep in mind, the only reason I was disappointed wasn't because of the conflict between what she said and did. I was disappointed because I saw the real her, and I was amazed at her, and she did not bring that amazing to the table when it came to being filmed online. So we want to make sure that your amazing shows up in your online persona. After our conversation, she kind of had a breakthrough moment where she decided she was going to break free of the facade, and she courageously set up one of her episodes where she shared a vulnerable issue. And I do mean vulnerable. Now, just as a quick side note, when I say we need to be vulnerable or share our full selves, I don't mean open up the dam and let everything pour out. No, please. We don't need everything. But she did get personal, and she shared a battle that she had had with not only anxiety, but depression. Totally different from her online persona. The thing is, she received an overwhelmingly positive response from hundreds, if not thousands of people. Her authenticity created a safe space where these people somehow decided that they could share their pains and sufferings as well. An entire community of people that have had problems with anxiety and depression came into being overnight because she opened up. Now, not only was this community something that was amazing to her because she had no clue that it was needed, let alone could be created by her, but it also took on that sense that she gave during that episode. And she shared it in a way that was so compassionate and kind to herself as she was being truthful that the community took on an aura of compassion. Deep connections resulted, and not only was she freed of any misperceptions that anyone had of her online characterization, but she was now clearly who she was online and offline. Now, I have to say that authenticity demands wholehearted living. We can't just put it on for a moment and then walk away. It has to be who we really are. What drives our passions has to show up. What drives our thinking has to show up. These are all very important things. Brené Brown, an author and researcher, said, "Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are." It sounds just like this, doesn't it? We somehow think our persona is this wonderful thing, and yet we're the ones that are actually wonderful. I hope you get that. I hope you see what I'm talking about. Anyway, that quote reminded me that genuine connections build, or at least begin, with our own self-acceptance. We have to trust in who we were built to be, who we were wired to be is the way I prefer saying it, because I'm a little bit different than the average person. It's funny when I meet someone new, they usually meet me in a professional setting or something like that. And when they actually start getting to know me more and more, they're like, "Dude, you're crazy." Well, I'm not necessarily crazy per se, but I do a lot more thinking with my right brain while most people think more with their left brain. And it certainly gives me insights that most people just never have. Does it sound crazy at times? Yeah, maybe sometimes, especially if I'm being goofy in the moment. But nonetheless, we all have our own strengths and weaknesses. We need to definitely shine with our strengths, and our weaknesses, we need to salt that in so that we're relatable and approachable by all others. Now, within this, we have to trust that we are of value and we have something worth sharing. Did you hear me on that? You have to get to the place where you understand that you have value and you have something worth sharing. I don't know how else to say that. That is so important in this whole authenticity piece. You got to grab hold of it. All right. So again, we don't want to necessarily break open the dam and spill out all the beans as far as everything of what we are. But what we do want to do is we want to admit that we're imperfect, admit that we're on a journey where we're growing from our imperfections into something better. And in the meantime, we've already learned a whole bunch of stuff through experiences that we can share with others so they don't have to have such a hard time as we had done. Now, as a writer and director, I know that the most essential thing when putting together a video profile is that you have to have certain key elements that cause the people watching to bond with you. The best way to do it, the easiest way to do it, is to reveal some kind of a character flaw or some kind of a issue that you've had to face and work through, because they can relate to the fact that, yeah, I had that problem too, or yeah, that's like my cousin Joe, or whatever it might be. By having an introduction of some kind of weakness, it really helps. Because, frankly, if the audience doesn't know what your weaknesses are, they're not going to be able to relate to you. And if they can't relate to you, then they can't cheer you on based on what you're sharing. And they have to be able to cheer you on and be invested in it if they're going to learn anything from you. So your profile has to allow the people to see your weakness enough for them to invest themselves in who you are so they can find out more about you. I gotta say, when I looked at my profiles, when I started learning about all this stuff, what a messy, disjointed profile I had. I mean, I had so many different profiles and so many different platforms. Oh my gosh. And in this process, I learned that a messy, disjointed profile can kill a career. I also learned that a highly polished profile can kill trust. And if it's too polished, it can make us inapproachable. So you can't have something really bad, and you can't have something so good it seems plastic and not real. You have to have an authentic profile with a touch of professionalism. And if you do that, between the professionalism and the authenticity, you will build trust and relatability in your audience. That's all we want from a profile. You want to build trust and relatability. So if we put authenticity in there, we are grabbing hold of that power and can use it to further our careers. So authenticity is really the key to building a meaningful connection online with people on the other end of the screen. When we embrace our true selves and professionally share our genuine thoughts and emotions and experiences, definitely experiences, we create a foundation of trust and relatability. Authenticity allows others to see the real us than on screen, and it fosters a deeper connection, a bond, if you will, and can establish conversations beyond surface level. That is of great value. So let's talk about the benefits of authenticity in online profiles. A natural set of benefits really reveals itself when we live authentically online. They just kind of come to the surface. The first one is we build trust, and we talked about that a little bit, that authenticity actually breeds trust, and it makes those connections that make people feel like you're genuine and not only relatable and approachable, but reliable as well. That's a key factor. An authentic profile can also inspire others. As we embrace our authenticity, others witness someone being authentic online. That empowers them to do the same. It empowers them to say, hey, I have a valuable story. I need to be sharing that too. Overall, it fosters a supportive community as a result, because those people can relate to you and they want to spur you on, and it's just a wonderful thing. But let's talk about it personally for a moment, because I believe that it personally impacts the person that is online with their story, their message. And I'm talking about your personal well-being. See, if we look at it from the opposite standpoint first, pretending to be someone that we're not, I can tell you from watching a lot of people that when we pretend to be someone we're not, it leads to stress, anxiety, most importantly, fear of rejection. Because now you feel like, okay, do I show my persona at this party I'm going to, or do I show who I really am? Because what if they don't like who I really am? Because I know my persona is liked online. And no. You got to just be one thing, yourself. Embracing authenticity really liberates us from the pressures to conform or to try and be someone that we're not. We're free from all of those things. And that promotes mental health and emotional health. It just does a good thing for us. Now, it also creates another benefit. It helps us to nurture real connections. Authenticity builds integrity in our lives because we are what we say we are. and we do what we say we're going to be doing. And that results in what? Great relationships. More importantly, friendships, or at least more importantly from my perspective. Friendships is a big one. When personas on screen and off match, we also attract like-minded individuals, people that kind of think and want to head in the same direction that we're going. It's just this camaraderie type thing that happens. It's an online phenomenon that these people that do whatever they do somehow get thousands and thousands of followers. Now, of course, that's in shows that are weekly. We're talking about an online profile so people can know who you are before doing business with you. Same concept, though, just taken to a longer or more event-driven orientation. So the bottom line is the connections are more meaningful and longer lasting. So that's the key. So let me give you some tips here for embracing authenticity online. The first one is self-reflection. You have to take time. Well, you don't have to, but I recommend you take time to understand your values, your passions, and your aspirations. You want to be able to really know who you are and where you're headed and why you're headed that direction. By knowing yourself, that is crucial to being able to determine to what degree you need to be authentic and how to be authentic. The second is share the highs and the lows online. The highs being, that almost polished type effect, but the lows are actually more important. The lows are all about, here's what I was struggling with. Here's kind of the journey I took to try and get past it. Here's what I found out. And oh my gosh, look at what's happening now as a result. It actually, whenever you share a low, it forces you to share the high of it. Don't go online and just say, oh, I got divorced. No. Don't talk about a divorce unless you're helping divorcees, but don't talk about the actual divorce until after you've healed from the process and you now realize that you have grown so much and have become such a much better, stronger person that you would never, if you were given a time machine to go back to change things, you would not do it because of all the gain that you now have, having grown through such a painful experience. That's the key to the highs and lows. Take a look at the lows. Find the ones that you've already grown through and overcome and where you've ended up. That's the low to share, but make sure you share the journey to the high. That is a perfect mix. Now, in business, you're not going to be talking about divorce, but you're going to use business examples. You have to kind of pick and choose what goes into a given profile based on whether it's a social site or whether it's a business site, etc. Okay, now, while focusing solely on highlights is tempting to some people, you have to remember to share your flaws, your struggles, and your vulnerabilities, and how you got through it to the high. That's the best way. So the best way, of course, to reveal those flaws is in a story. Make sure you don't just talk about events. Make sure you tell an emotional story that moves you from the low to the high. When you're doing that, of course, be honest and genuine. That's another tip here. Be honest and genuine. Speak from your heart and let your true voice shine through. Avoid creating a facade. Avoid imitating others. Your unique self makes you special, so that's what you want to share. Okay, the next tip, and this sounds like I'm almost repeating myself, but let me point it out from a different perspective. I want you to embrace your imperfections. Now, what I mean by that is I have a friend who, when making a show like this, like I'm doing now, she would go back and she would put in at least 500 edits in a half-hour show, trying to correct every little thing and make sure what she did was right and that the lighting was perfect. And oh my gosh, she spent so much time in it. her final product was so polished, no one paid any attention to her. You have to be a little bit rough around the edges. So like what I'm doing here, I'm shooting this straight through, talking to you as if you and I are sitting in a room together. And that's it. I'm doing it in one take. Now, granted, you've seen me make some mistakes a little bit as I go, but the fact is, by embracing that imperfection, I get to say, you know what? Nobody's imperfect. That sounded wrong. Nobody is perfect. I can embrace my imperfections and my messy life. I'm okay with it. And by looking at authenticity, I can start to thrive and do even better on my next episode, because I'm starting to realize that the more natural I am, the more I react to this and talk to you from the standpoint of what just rises through my heart and my mind, unfiltered moments like this whole video is. By doing that, you know it's real. You know that what I'm sharing is real, and you know you need to embrace it yourself. So that's how we need to work on it. We need to really bring a sense of authenticity to the point where you know who I am and I know who you are, and that's how it goes. Authenticity, when we do all those things, becomes a powerful, transforming force. And I just want to close out by talking about Sarah again, because Sarah learned that sharing real stories, the thoughts and the emotions that came with it, actually built trust. It inspired others. It certainly enhanced her own well-being. And it nurtured some real, effective, great connections. Her new journey into the world of authenticity became a beacon of truth for others. And for herself, it became a beacon of relatability. For the first time, her audience really felt like they knew her. So as we navigate the right mix with our profiles, we can let go of the expectations and the comparisons and all the pressure to conform to how the right way to do a video is. And instead, we can embrace our individuality, which empowers us to be unapologetically ourself. And because some of us will be doing this for business purposes, it will also allow us to show our professionalism while being ourself. Now, the results, let's talk about the results, because it can take on several forms. It might be similar to Sarah's new developed community that she had of supporters. Maybe not. But one thing is sure, we know that authenticity opens the door for genuine connections built on empathy, understanding, and more importantly, shared experiences. So in the days ahead, as we kind of navigate our digital realm and try to keep our profiles consistent, let's remember that authenticity is not a one-time achievement, but a daily practice. It requires self-awareness, vulnerability, and a willingness to be true to who we really are. So as Sarah did, we embark on the journey of authenticity together, shaping a digital world where genuine connections and meaningful conversations actually thrive. Have a great day.